Worship has always been a physical act, whether it's bowing or kneeling or raising our hands, singing, closing our eyes. There are many things that we do in worship that symbolize something that isn't necessarily being said out loud. And one of those things that has often been forgotten by evangelicals is the sign of the cross. Now, I've heard some people call the sign of the cross Catholic, but I think it's important to realize that the sign of the cross actually existed a long time before the institution of the Roman Catholic Church. In fact, there's some evidence that even the apostles themselves used the sign of the cross. Now, it was a little different. It was a little smaller and done on the forehead. But still, this is a rich symbol with a rich history. And consider too that John Wesley, an evangelical whose theology laid the groundwork for our denomination, would have used the sign of the cross regularly in Sunday worship services. It's simply one more way for us to engage in worship. Just like you might raise your hand in agreement to something that's said in a song, the sign of the cross is our way of expressing identification in God. That He has purchased us, that He has redeemed us, and that we are committing to bear His image in the world. Now, just like there aren't rules about when you can and can't raise your hand in worship, there aren't rules about the sign of the cross. There are some traditions that like to use it more often and other traditions that call for it at very specific moments in the service. But most often, the sign of the cross is used when the Trinity is invoked, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Sometimes people will sign themselves after taking communion or after remembering their baptism as well. Now, you may be wondering, how do I do the sign of the cross? Because you may have heard different traditions going right to left or left to right. And there is some history to this, but a lot of it is just guessing why there's a difference between the Western church going one way and the Eastern church going another way. But just like no one dictates which hand you should raise during worship, you can go whichever way you want. Just as you might hug a friend to express your love, you should feel permission to use the sign of the cross as an act of worship, to express your love, your reliance, and your commitment to God. Now may you go and bear God's image as a symbol of His redeeming work in the world. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.